You can talk a little bit louder for me.
Patient is lethargic. She's alert and lethargic, so clinically we will heart rate is very low. Is bradycardic.
Okay.
So can we give heart rate is lower than 50, and the blood pressure, the systolic blood pressure is normal. Can we give atropine 1 milligram?
We can give atropine, but you have enough team members to do multiple tasks. So we also has a SpO2 reading of 90% on room air. So while your nurse is drawing up the atropine, well, are there any other orders you would like implemented?
Can we put oxygen?
Okay. What's the goal saturation if you don't want to tell me the liters?
100 liters, 100 saturation. Can
So,
we give 2 liters?
okay, so 2 to 4 liters.
Yeah.
For the American Heart Association, a goal of 100% isn't necessary. 94 to 99% will be your O2 saturation goal. But yes, I will put on, I'll go ahead and start off with 4 liters because his heart rate is so low. And so your nurse, she hasn't given the atropine yet because you haven't told her how many milligrams.
It's 1 milligram.
Okay. And then how will she give that medication? Is it?
You can give it IV if she has the IV.
All right. So she's getting the IV now. So what size IV would you like? Would you like a 20 gauge in the left hand?
Sure. That is good.
No, ma'am, not in the left hand. During an emergency, where do we want our IVs?
Oh, in the right
or left? Where? What location?
right anticubital.
Yes. So we want a more centrally located line. And if she can get an 18 gauge, you recommend an 18 gauge, but we will accept a 20 gauge. So we have a 20 gauge in the left antecubital. And so we're going to be administering atropine 1 milligram at 12:19 p.m. We don't treat monitors, we treat patients. So after that atropine was given and the oxygen at 4 liters, what is your reassessment? What are you rechecking?
If the heart rate is more than 50.
Okay.
And if the O2 saturation is more than 90, and the blood pressure is, this diastolic blood pressure is more than 60.
Diastolic isn't a priority according to the American Heart Association. What blood pressure reading is most important? Was it diastolic or systolic?
Systolic blood pressure should be
greater than what?
Greater than 100, greater than 90.
Greater than 90. Good job. But you did not check your patient. You checked vitals. What was wrong with your patient initially?
She's alert but lethargic.
All right. Did you go back and check on her to see if she was still alert?
You can ask if she's doing fine.
And she is now not responding to you. So that prompts you to take a blood pressure. And now when you take a blood pressure, your new reading is 80/50.
It is very low blood pressure. It's below, the systolic blood pressure is below 90.
So what can we do to increase the cardiac output and also increase the blood pressure? We can do 2 different things.
We can do pacing.
Okay, we can do transcutaneous pacing.
And another gram of atropine.
How frequently can we give? It's not a gram.
One milligram, I mean.
How often can we give atropine?
It's in 3 to 5 minutes.
And it's not been 3 to 5 minutes, but our patients had a change in condition. We can go ahead and draw it. But what else do we give in a hospital setting to improve the blood pressure?
Beta blockers.
Beta blockers.
Dopamine.
Go with the least invasive and the cheapest option. Before we give a medication to raise the blood pressure, let's start off with some fluids.
Oh, fluids, okay.
What fluid?
Um, normal saline or Ringer's lactate,
Okay, so we have normal saline. And how much normal saline would you like infused?
1 liter.
1 liter. Monitoring for fluid overload. What are early signs that this person, because we don't know anything about their history, they could have congestive heart failure. So what would be some early signs that this person, that we gave them too much fluid?
Uh, chest. Um, overload, fluid overload.
Right, because if you're teaching a new nurse, you are a preceptor, and we are infusing fluids into a patient who could possibly have congestive heart failure. With the fancy equipment she wears around her neck, what should she be listening to determine whether or not her patient is overloaded?
You can check with your stethoscope if in the lungs and heart.
Perfect.
Heart, yes.
What happened with the jugular vein if they were overloaded?
If it's overload, you can the jugular is extended.
Yes, and then late stage would be the pedal edema. All right, and so you said transcutaneous pace.
Yes.
All right, so we have the pads in place. And I'm just going to reset this because your pacer usually never starts off perfectly. And I'm going to stop so that you can see the screen. What would you like the pacer set at? Currently it's at 70. Are you okay with that? Remember, every time it shocks the patient, it's sending energy through his chest. And so how much pain can this patient tolerate, pretty much? So do you want to set at 70 or 80?
I think 70 is fine.
Okay. And what is wrong with our monitor? Here we have pacer spikes, but as far as contractions, we only have 3. So this person's heart rate is not 70. If this is a 6-second strip, what's their heart rate?
It's lower than.
So 1, 2, 3 times 10. What's the heart rate?
30.
30. So even though we have put on the transcutaneous pacemaker, it's not capturing. So how do we improve capture? Maybe this person has a larger chest, or we're not giving enough energy. So I want you to tell me to increase the milliamps until we have 100% capture.
Okay. Please increase milliamps to
Until we have
a
100% capture.
100% capture.
And so what does 100% capture mean?
If, like,
After every pacer spike, what should you see behind it?
it's spike, heart rate.
So we should see our QRS complex.
QRS, yes.
Because it's stimulating the ventricles. So 100% capture means that once we increase the milliamps, and now if we pause it, we have a pacer spike, QRS, pacer spike, QRS. So now it's a 1-to-1 ratio. We now have 100% capture. We don't treat monitors, we treat people. So now that we've given fluids and this person is paced, what do you want to go back and do?
Oxygen saturation.
Don't just call out one thing. Your tech is there. What do you want your tech to do? You just want her to do an oxygen saturation? What is this? What do these represent? What is it called when she comes in with the Dynamap and gets a clinical picture of your patient?
You have to do.
You want a full set of what? Vital signs. You just don't want to tell someone to give you oxygen saturation when your patient's crashing. So can I hear you say, give me a full set of vital signs?
Yes. Please give full sense of vital signs.
Yes. And how often do you want your machine reset? How often do you want it to recollect the blood pressure?
Every 2 minutes.
Perfect. All right, and so we do have improvement as far as this machine shows, but we don't treat computers, we treat humans. So what should you be doing now that your patient, the machine is showing 100% capture? Let me pause it because you're focused on the machine. And right now we are shocking someone 70 times per minute. They're getting 15 milliamps energy through their chest 70 times per minute. Let's stop looking at this machine and go and look at who?
The patient.
The patient. What questions are you going to be asking the patient?
We will ask if he's okay, if he's responsive.
He is responding to pain and he says that this hurts. He wants you to take it off. He wants to know, why can't you give him pain medicine?
Yes.
Can you give him anything for pain? Can you give him some sedative, morphine?
Yes, we can give medicine.
All right, and if you give morphine, what's going to happen to that blood pressure?
The blood pressure will go down because it's.
We just got his cardiac output up, so we can't now decrease it by giving pain medication. So what's going to be the response? Explain to your patient the reason why you can't give pain medication right now.
We can give you a pain medication right now because if we will give you morphine, your blood pressure will go down and respiratory rate will go down. So we just
just bear with us until the cardiologist arrives.
We will wait for your cardiologist to arrive to check whether to check your ECG.
All right, and so what would be a reason that a person's heart rate would go down to 30? Clinically, what could have caused it?
Bradycardia reason. Maybe there is a blockage.
Okay.
And there's a blockage or artery in your heart.
Okay, let's think about something the nurse probably gave him, or that maybe he took too much medication at home. What are some medications that could lower the heart rate? You mentioned one
also
already.
the beta blockers.
Yes.
Those are the medications you have. Maybe you're taking at home.
Okay. And now this wouldn't be something you're talking to the patient about unless he can now tell you what medicines he's taking. It's just you as a nurse, you're thinking about those H's and T's. And so if we're starting, because we want to make sure this person doesn't arrest, and so I'm thinking about toxicities, even though there isn't necessarily a T. What is in his system that's causing his heart rate to be so low? So what is it besides a beta blocker that he could be taking that decreases his heart rate? What do we give patients who have atrial fibrillation?
It's the beta blocker which we can give is dope.
No, listen to the question. If someone has atrial fibrillation, what medications do we give to make the heart beat more effectively? That also lower the heart rate.
Digoxin.
Yes. And so I need you, because yes, the doctor, maybe he does actually need a pacemaker, but maybe he needs the antidote to the digoxin. And so now that we have this patient stable in the interim, what labs would you be ordering if you were team lead, considering our whole conversation?
Cardiac enzyme.
Okay, what else?
And CBC,
okay.
CPKMB.
Okay. What if his electrolytes are abnormal? What other lab values? What other labs?
Potassium.
And the potassium comes in what?
In BMP.
Yeah, a BMP.
BMP.
All right. Why do you think his O2 sat was low? Do you want to order anything to figure that part out?
He came with a lower O2 saturation, which is 90, and now it's 94.
Yes, it's 94 on 4 liters. So
In 4 liters.
yes.
Okay, so we can.
Think about diagnostics. What other tests would you like ordered? How do we know what's going on with his lungs?
Pulmonary.
Pulmonologist hasn't arrived yet. So how do
Pulmonary
we get a view of their chest? What are you ordering?
Chest X-ray.
A chest X-ray. What would a chest X-ray show in regards to his lungs and his heart?
If the blood flow is.
Chest X-ray could show the size of the heart, but it could also show if there are fluid in the lungs. So it would help us determine whether or not he has atelectasis, if he has pneumonia.
Pneumonia, yes, pneumonia and.
Okay. All right. And then how do we determine how well his heart is pumping? What diagnostic test would that be? How do we get his ejection fraction?
T.
T is one way, but an echocardiogram. All right. And so that, my lady, was the bradycardia practice scenario. What questions do you have? This is our first one. It's our first one. At least your patient is stable. So we were able to stabilize him.
The saturation is until 99, 94 to 99.
94 to 99. We don't want to give too much oxygen because it can negatively impact eyes and other organs.
So it is nasal cannula, but via nasal cannula, right?
Yeah. Now, if the nasal cannula wasn't working, that's when you can go to a high flow device like a non-rebreather.
Non-rebreather. Okay, so can we give like the maximum of 4 liters or 6 liters?
But remember that American Heart Association, according to their standards, 94% is acceptable. If his heart rate was low, why would his O2 sat be impacted by his low heart rate? What is carried in the blood? Yeah. So once his cardiac output improves, hopefully his O2 sat will also improve. So right now he is stable. We're okay with stable. When the cardiologist comes, because we're going to defer to the specialist, when the cardiologist comes, that's when we can do those extra tests. But as far as ACLS is concerned, you kind of still have to know what everybody's role is, because let's say you have a new doctor on the phone and he or she doesn't tell you to order cardiac enzymes. You have to remember that this patient just had a cardiac event. We didn't order EKG. We didn't order cardiac enzymes. Hey, doc, before you go, did you not mean to order this, or did you just overlook it? Really nicely. And they're like, oh, I was so busy. I just thought that was standard. Okay, so we didn't say EKG, but of course the EKG too. All right, you have an opportunity to redeem yourself, young lady. All right, so the next one is going to be